right, what's up, everybody? We're the Flopbuster Movie Show live with a very special stream. This is a stream we weren't supposed to do.
No.
We weren't going to have a show this week, but last second we decided to talk about the new Evil Dead Rise, and we also have with us Leo Perez from the Broken Reality podcast. Leo, how you doing today?
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry that I'm recording from my iPhone, and I have like the portrait mode, and that makes me feel like I'm in a World Star hip hop video. But we're gonna do it.
World Star.
Now I just need to fucking fight somebody in a fucking Waffle House.
It's funny. I saw that's a legendary video, but I saw one last week from World Star that was like insane, and it was in Forest Park. I don't know if you guys saw that video.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah.
The gas station one.
The gas station video.
The gas station one. That was great. Yeah.
I didn't know what was happening.
Like every little bit, it kept getting worse and worse. Right.
She got charged. Actually, they found her.
Oh. Well, free my girl. You know.
Yeah, that video is chaos. But I mean, it's Forest Park too, so like it's not that area is not that surprising that would happen there.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so we came together we're going to be talking about Evil Dead Rise. So if you haven't seen it, I think we're going to touch on some spoilers. I feel like this is a tough movie to talk about without touching on some things in detail because it's such a simple premise. If we just went based off of general thoughts, this would be very short. And I would rather just jump into the everything about this movie. So I guess first of all, we could jump around the room and give our general thoughts. Leo, what did you think of the movie?
First off, I want to say hi to both of you. Hi to Gabe. Gabe, I really enjoy that LWO shirt. I really like that you got it so fast because that group just kind of like happened like maybe less than a month ago.
That's when I ordered it. As soon as WrestleMania, like the day before WrestleMania hit, and they said LWO is back, I ordered it.
That's awesome.
The issue being is that I wanted the shirt back when they first came out, in the 90s, but for some reason or another, I never got it, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm about to be 40 years old. I'm gonna get it."
I think we lost the window, right? And like now they brought it back because you know who a lot of their audience is. Like, come on,
right?
You know, so like, no, that's a dope shirt. I enjoy that. Okay, so Evil Dead Rise, man, what a fun ass movie. You know, I think I've noticed, I put this down on Twitter before, but like, what a nice break from CGI and those effects to just have them just have so much cool shit in that movie. And I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say that the Marauder, the multi-formed beast at the ending was I felt something in here, man, because like they really went outside of the box, and I feel like so I was in a theater with like I think a lot of other people and other people's parents, maybe like teenagers and they brought their parents, and I heard people gasping, but not like they were fucking offended gasp at that thing because it was an awesome looking monster, but also it was just like visually offensive and gross and so fucking cool, man. And I felt like something inside because of how cool and fucking weird and creepy that thing was, man.
Yeah, I agree. Gabe, what you gave me your little video. I guess expand upon it. I feel like I was the last between me and you. I saw it a little later than you. You had seen it a few hours before me.
Yeah, no, I just think the whole entire thing was I thought it was nice that HBO finally is like, you know what, let's put this out in theaters, because if I would have seen this on HBO Max, I would have been upset that I had to see it on my TV at home. Like, this movie lends itself to be a theatrical release. Like, seeing it in the crowd that I did, like Leo said, it was like a mixture of young people that wanted a good horror movie and the old people that grew up with Living Dead or Evil Dead. I'm sorry, not Living Dead. Those are older people. Those are like grandparents. but like with like Evil Dead people and like the younger people. And again, it's right up my alley with Possession. Evil Dead's always been up my alley with the Possession. I want to say it's like what's one of the strongest in the series. I will die on this hill, and people are going to come after me. But I really, really dislike the third one. I really wish like we could like undo that one. The Army
don't
of
like-
Darkness.
2013 one?
The Army of Darkness.
Oh, you don't like Army of Darkness?
No, I do not like Army of Darkness. I think it's like I don't know why. I don't know, but
I
like
think so. I was talking to one of my best friends who I saw the movie with, and I was like, Army of Darkness is a complete fan service to that series, and and I don't think it fits within the realm of Evil Dead 2, the Evil Dead remake with Mia, and the and Evil Dead Rise. So like I half agree with you. Like Army of Darkness is like if it's almost like a Freddy movie if everyone or one guy was prepared to fight Freddy, right? Like
Right.
if Freddy wasn't allowed to be Freddy and someone just showed up even to fight him. So like you don't get the fear, you get just the action. So I kind of I soft agree with you that Army of Darkness doesn't fit in that series.
no, but you know, overall though, I'm so glad what they did with this one is they brought it outside of the country. They brought it outside of like Michigan. And I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? Let's set it up in LA. Let's set it up in a major
Yeah.
city. Like it totally refreshes the entire series. Like it's a whole refresh for it.
Yeah, no, I think you guys make great, great points, and I think what works about this movie is, Gabe, you touched on it, like doing something completely different. Like I think the major crutch of what these movies should be is like a group of people find the book, and then let the director, whoever it is that's going to make the next one, do whatever they want with it, right? Like I think 3 out of the 5 movies are set at the cabin, so this is like the first time that without Ash, we're getting something that is completely different. And there's also the TV series too, which I enjoyed. It was a lot of fun. But I feel like with the original 3 movies and with the show, it's definitely geared towards hardcore fans and people who love Bruce Campbell. And I think with this movie, you can bring in a new audience. So when I saw it, it was complete, like it was a packed house when I saw it.
Right.
And it was people that just wanted to come in and get scared, you know? And I think that this movie accomplishes that on a major level, while also being really fucked up and funny and having that sense of humor. Like this movie has a twisted sense of humor. And if you think even like kids are going to be safe, the kids are not safe in this movie.
Which I absolutely loved. I fucking love that. Like
Dude, the eyeball that cracked me the fuck
right.
up.
There's spoilers. We're just gonna jump into the spoilers.
spoilers.
But there are even the kid that swallows the eyeball, and like there's things like that you would expect from Evil Dead, but this movie finds a perfect balance of creating a new direction, tipping the hat to the older films as well. I had seen this. I saw this in the AMC Burbank, and it was like nothing but like
fancy.
horror fan. No, it's just a regular AMC. Just the only it's just definitely more like packed because of the area that it's in. So you see a lot of people that are just hardcore fans going to see these movies. I told Gabe Bill Moseley was at that screening.
I saw that.
Yeah, really weird. He was just chilling.
You
Just
should
some
go.
bad-
You should have gone up to him.
How could you tell it was him and not just some regular LA bum?
Oh, he did
kidding,
look very
I'm
bummed.
Like, of course he did. He was like a bum all the time. Yeah.
No, he was just
I
like
love Bill
he was just chilling. I'm sure he liked the movie. It seemed like a lot of people did. They cheered throughout most of it. But yeah, I think this movie creates a perfect opportunity to put the franchise in a fresh direction, away from Ash, away from even Sam Raimi's
God.
producing it, but a little bit away from that too. Even though we have the tip of the hats and the Easter eggs, this feels fresh. And even for the opening titles, I thought that was so like it was like metal. The way the movie opens, it's like Evil Dead Rise, and you see her rising up, and it's got the titles, and the music is going crazy. She's just ripped somebody's scalp off, and it's just the movie starts off at 100, and it doesn't let loose from there. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I think that this movie opens. I was a little worried when I first heard that they were talking about it because I was like, "Are we just going to keep restarting this series?" But I think that at the point we're at now is we're getting more about the lore from the book, you know, and like you saw more pages of the book than we've seen before. That's for sure.
That's true.
But also, this is a callback to why to Darkness, but also now we're seeing things tied together because now we know there's 3 books.
Yep.
There's Ash's book, there's Mia's book, and there's Ellie's book, or Beth's book, right? So they're all three parts of the books that were on the stone.
Yep.
And they're showing up in different points of history or different points in the world. And I think that whatever they do in the future, they can kind of choose which book they want to go with and just kind of go from there. I really love that part of this movie that it's almost left it like ambiguous, right? Like you don't know, you know that the book's the center of it, but you don't know what's gonna come out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Even like how the book gets there too. It's just like, okay, we have the earthquake, the kids find the book down there, they open it up, and then bad shit happens.
No,
But
just one kid. I mean, are you opening that book though? Like legit, like the fucking ground opens up. You find the bank vault, right? You're like, fuck, I'm not gonna search through these bank things. Maybe you can find money, whatever. No, fuck that. I want to go and get this book with this like cross that comes down and all these hanging freaking.
There's a lot of things that kind of warn him not to touch them.
Right. And then you're like, you're still going to go pick up that book? And then you're still going to try to open it?
Let's kind of let something out of the bag right now. This is only happening to white people in all these movies. I know, like Evil Dead, the 2013 Evil Dead, you're like, oh, they might be Latino. Like, I don't know. But also, they're not the ones that made it happen. The one smart white kid is the one that opened up the barbed wire in the book. Like, why, like, Latinos and other people of color would never go down a hole. Also, if they were to go down a hole, it's to escape prison, like El Chapo, right? Like, we would never go, like, oh, what's going down there? I'm not going in there. And then if you see a bunch of rosaries hanging, you're like, I'm not going over there. Like, we would never bring that home. And then,
no,
like, they got,
and maybe, and then say maybe we'd be like, okay, you know what? Let's take this and then let's see how much it's worth and we could sell it. Definitely not opening it up. Definitely not playing some old ass dusty ass records. Like, nope, I ain't gonna touch these records. Like,
I think it's part of the dark humor of these movies too. Is that they have so many chances to not read the book or to listen to the writings of it, and they still do it anyway. So it's kind of like you deserve what happens to you.
And let me tell you this quick story. So on our podcast, a few weeks ago, I was talking to John. He's my partner on the podcast, about him finding. He went into an abandoned house. He's a locksmith. And he found a Rubbermaid tote, right? And inside the Rubbermaid tote, there was a bunch of Bibles. So he took them out, and in the very bottom, there was a book wrapped in plastic. And he opened it, and it happened to be a very old and very expensive first edition of a witchcraft book written by a woman in Louisiana. She was like the queen of voodoo. And he took it home. And then weird shit started happening in his home. You don't have to believe it. That's fine. I don't care. But this is really. But here's the thing. What color is John? He's a white man.
He's white man.
He's very, very white. A white man a 41-year-old white man does not care about repercussions, no accountability. Took this book home, showed it to his wife, and then fucking nightmare shit started happening. And then he sold it and got rid of it without telling the person what happened. That checks out, right? Like they like doing this.
Yeah, no, it's true. Sorry, real quick. Mike Jones, what's up, man? And then Cody, see it. It's really good to come back here and see us chat all about the spoilers. So another thing that's a change of pace is even like the characters and stuff. This whole movie is done by an Australian crew. I don't think they actually shot it in America. I think it was shot in like some other country.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed. They were definitely. I think some of the actors were. I definitely heard some of their accents coming through. I didn't really focus too hard on it, but I don't think there's like one American actor in this movie. It's done by a whole Australian film crew that was handpicked by Sam Raimi, and I think that's a great change of pace. Is to bring fresh faces in here, and even the kids. Like, we really don't even see kids in the Evil Dead movies. Like, this is the first time you see kids in it, but also kids in danger. And even like even setting it in LA, like setting it in a big city, like we're bringing a bunch of elements into these movies that we've never seen before. And it goes back to what you said. Like, I think that's a really cool thing they play with the lore was, oh, here's a callback to Army of Darkness when you saw 3 books. And now we have one that's going to set up this story. You have ones that were set up for Ash, one for Mia. And it kind of ties everything together very loosely without like going hard on fan service.
Yeah.
It's like, if you know that it's the same kind of, what kind of demons they are they? They're
Deadites.
Canarian or Kandarian?
Sumerian.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, they're Sumerian, but they're Kandorian demons. Sorry,
Kandorian. There you go. Yeah. It's just setting up this is like all the same world. And like you could do, so there's like so many different possibilities with this. One of my favorite moments in the film, I think a lot of people are going to talk about the cheese grater moment because it was in all the trailers. One of the things that really grossed me out was the daughter eating the glass.
Oh,
And I thought that was really fucked up.
yeah.
Without it doesn't go too far, just the crunching and the sound design and even the performance of the mom. The mom is like a perfect deadite in this, and like she's stuff of nightmares, like beyond nightmare fuel.
Would you still though?
Yes. Because you know she'll let me eat that ass out like she's got a prize in the middle, man.
Well, Gabe, I guess you could. She was having marital issues. You could be the new stepdad. There you go.
There you go. Fuck.
I'm an excellent stepdad.
Yeah, dude, there you go.
No,
Well, you know what I always appreciate about all the Evil Dead films is if you really pay attention, no one really ever wins. It just escalates into something else.
Yeah.
And I always appreciated that, like there was like there's like the whole demon aspect of it, but like in most possession films, like they bring in the element of like religion or God or something, and God always helps. Like the religion always helps them win. And in this one, obviously, they were like, you know, along with the other ones, it's just like God took the day off, like he's not there to help. So it's like just a human up against like an unstoppable force, and they do whatever they can out of sheer will to at least get some kind of a win.
Yeah.
And that's why like I love the ending so much. Like the callbacks were great, but her having to dig deep to like, you know, get rid of it was, man, that death scene for the Deadite was awesome.
Yeah. No, and I think
it.
in the last few minutes just go kind of just balls to the wall crazy. You know, just insane amounts of gore, insane amounts of puking, which
Yeah.
I'm very happy. There's a lot of puking in this movie. It's pretty gross.
Lots.
Lots of blood.
Yeah, but like I said before, really funny. And that's, I like a good mixture. I really love 2013 that it's just really like it focuses in on being really fucked up. And it like the humor is kind of like in the back seat. This one kind of balances both, where it's like super, super funny, but also really fucked up at the same time. But another thing I really enjoyed about it was the direction of it all. I think Fede Alvarez brought something unique. I think Raimi brought something unique, and then Lee Cronin for this movie does something a little bit different than the two past directors. And I think Sam Raimi creates that perfect space for them to do that. It's just like, here's Evil Dead, go ahead, do whatever you want with it. And it's, Gabe, you were right. They made the right choice by putting this in theaters, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. What else did you get? What else, Gabe? Come on. Give us something. What was your favorite kill, man? Favorite moment? Favorite torture scene?
Favorite torture scene? I mean, I think my favorite kill is when they use the doll's head right through the throat, right through the mouth.
Stephanie. Yeah.
Stephanie. Yeah.
Stephanie was hilarious. Like it was funny and also really, really fucking like a really cool kill. How like it just landed on an angle. That's one of my favorite kills on it.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead, Leo.
Dude, it's just like I'm trying to take a back seat because I do have a lot to say because I loved it so much. I love that series so much, right? Like, when 2013 Evil Dead came out, I was very worried because I'm like, how can you remake that movie? And 2013 Evil Dead is okay, and then the last 25 minutes is fucking awesome. And then when Mia is the last kill and it rains blood and all that shit, that's really when that movie just goes over the top for me. And like I felt that movie is an A+ because of the end, right?
Yeah,
Like,
it really brings it home. Yeah.
Yeah. And with this one, it was just well balanced, right? Like from the beginning to the end, it was just a really good balance and something new and original on a franchise that's already standalone. Great. You know, I'm not a really big fan of Ash versus the Evil Dead. Like there's some fun moments in that show, but I think it's too much. And I think it kind of like, I think with Gabe not being a big fan of Army of Darkness, it kind of that show's kind of unbalanced for me, where like he's beating the shit out of them, and then there's like the weird occult stuff. And with this one, it was like just a really good balance of like weird occult shit that has to do with the book, and then like all the problems surrounding the family, and then the one Beth's problem, and then the demon comes in, the Deadite comes into play, and all those problems are no longer problems anymore. It's just pure chaos and fear and trying to figure out how the fuck to survive. And I think that's what I liked so much about this one, especially, is that the balance is there, but also it's very kind of real, right? Like it's like being in a car accident. Like before, you're just like, oh, I'm going, I have everyday problems, things are happening, and then when it happens, you're just like, what the fuck do I do? What's going on? And like, you don't have time to think, but you have to act fast or whatever. It's just it's a very good story, and I think the people that made it, I don't know too much about them, but they really understand how horror has to work nowadays, where you just can't go in with like the Conjuring movies, right? Like some of those are fun, but like you just can't go in with like a bunch of jump scares, some scary stuff, and then the heroic ending. And now you really have to play on a lot of character development, and I think this movie had a lot of character development, even though it was only, and the best part, man, it was only 90 minutes. They did so much 90 minutes. I don't know.
I wanted more.
No, yes, but also no, right? Like I want them to make more. I want to see where else they can go with this. Well, I want like a film where like the priest in the recording, like I want to know what that looked like, right? I want to know what happens with the girl in the cabin and what happens after that. I want to know about the construction crew that has to go into the building and the book is still there and the record is still on the machine. Like I want to know about all this shit, and then also I want to know what happened with Mia, and I want to know if Ash is still alive and what happened with that book. Like I want to know if down the road someone is going to try to look for all 3 books and what that looks like. They opened up so much with this story, and it excites me a lot because I think the Evil Dead franchise is one of the most overlooked franchises. Unless you're a horror fan, it's one of the most overlooked in the mainstream.
Yeah, sure. And I think
I feel like it's more of the Sam Raimi's fault, because I feel like he knows how good Evil Dead is, but I feel like he puts it in the back burner a lot of times, right? Because after 2013, you had all this momentum of 2013 and, oh, we're going to do Mia and Ash versus all this, and nothing ever materialized. Sam Raimi got busy doing other stuff. And then now we got this. So it's like, I feel like this is why I didn't have any like after credit scene like 2013 did.
Yeah.
Because they're like, what if nothing ever materializes after this? Like, there's so many stuff, like you said, there's so much stuff that could go off. It's so much stuff, so many paths it could take. But Sam Raimi has been very lackadaisical with this franchise. It's just like,
I think it's hubris, don't you think? It's like I think he knows what he has, and I don't think he ever expected it to get to this point.
No, I think that's the thing. He just didn't like to him.
But now, and now that he has it, like I heard that even though I'm glad this didn't get made, I heard that there was going to be a Ash versus Freddy versus Jason, and that didn't get made because nobody could decide who won. The producers couldn't okay who won.
Right, because it's based on the comic books.
Right.
Well, they turned the script into the comic book.
Yeah, they turned the script.
That was like a day after the box office results came in for the movie, and it was a big hit. And they said, okay, we need somebody to go up against these two.
Right.
And one of the writers says, well, let's see if we could get Ash from Evil Dead. Yeah. And I think within the same day, Sam Raimi shut it down. Like it was like literally.
Well, no, it was more Bruce Campbell because Bruce Campbell he couldn't agree with Sony or whoever owns them who was going to win, and Bruce Campbell's like, if I'm going to be Ash in this movie, and we're going to tie in the Deadites with Jason and Freddy, like, I have to win.
Yeah.
And New Line or whatever, they were like, well, no, we don't want that to happen. You know, these guys are iconic, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, I'm kind of glad it didn't happen because who knows how – because those comics aren't really that great.
They're fun if you could track them down. They're not like I don't know. I think it would be a pretty bad movie.
It would be, yeah.
For the novelty, it's like, okay, it's fun to read if you could find them.
I mean, let's be serious. Freddy vs. Jason is a really shitty movie. You know? I mean, there's some fun, I guess, aspects to it. But
it doesn't hold up.
It doesn't hold up well.
It's a product of its time.
Yeah. And with Ash vs. the Evil Dead, I feel like we got like a little too little too late almost.
Yeah.
And it in that series, it takes them a while to kind of catch you up to it being fun again. But you know, I don't know. I
think
feel
they
like
might have to do a new Ash though with going forward. I mean, because I think Bruce Campbell, what's like maybe 60s, 70s?
Yeah.
You know,
or maybe it could be his last. Maybe it could be his last run. It could be his Logan. You know what I mean?
You could do that. You could do one last run.
People are gonna come for me, but I really don't like Bruce Campbell. Like
that's okay.
You know,
I don't think like Bruce Campbell. I think the Ash character, like I don't see anybody else playing it. I think that character was an excuse for them when they were younger for Sam to beat up his friend. Like, let me beat up my friend in all these crazy different ways. I think it's another reason why we never really saw anything happen with the franchise for the past 10 years. Dude, I think he didn't really realize how big it was.
Gabe, I'm going to tell you this. I understand your dislike towards Bruce Campbell. You know why? Because I have a general dislike against Bill Murray, and everybody giving me shit for it. But I understand why you probably, or like a lot of people wouldn't like Bruce Campbell. I feel like it's just too much. It's too much of that personality, right? Like Bruce Campbell is the same character in every fucking movie.
That's just him, yeah.
And that's how I feel about Bill Murray. He's almost the same guy in every single fucking movie. And I just have a general, like, I don't like, I find nothing special about him. And I think you might feel the same way about Bruce Campbell. There's nothing special that he's bringing.
No, I think that's it. It's also, I feel like like I get like what people love about Bruce Campbell, like his facial expressions and stuff. And I just don't feel like they're overly expressive.
Sure.
Like I felt like you take this, like the Evil Dead material, right? And it's supposed to be, like I compare everything to The Exorcist, right? Anything that's like possession, because I feel like I hold The Exorcist, and I've said this a lot, I hold The Exorcist in such high regard as far as possession movies are concerned. And maybe that's me being wrong, but
you want Evil Dead to be like The Exorcist?
No, I don't want it to be like The Exorcist, but I feel like the subject matter is like Exorcist level in the sense where we're talking about the book, we're talking about Deadites, we're talking about, you know, a book bound by human skin and written in human blood. Like that aspect of it, and then we bring in Bruce Campbell with his comedic, overly the top facial expressions, and I'm just like, that doesn't sit well with me. That's why I love 2013, because it takes on a more serious approach. What I love about this one is it takes on a more serious approach. Like I feel like the subject matter should like be a little bit more on a serious take with a little bit of laughs, like the eyeball scene, you know, the way that the motherfucker wouldn't die their friend in 2013. Like dude got like shot up with nails and he was still walking around. Like that was
the
stuff.
Needle to the eye and all that.
Needle to the eye, and he's still walking around like, oh man, how can I still help you? Like, you know, we're still going after this. Like, but with the Evil Dead ones, like I'm like one was good, two want like a little bit more of a funny turn. And then Army of Darkness, I was like, completely lost me.
Can we have a little bit of Exorcist discourse with this? Because I feel that there was no Exorcist, then we wouldn't have a lot of these like demonic possession movies, right?
That's the way I feel,
No,
right?
so like The Exorcist is the bar, right? Do you think that The Exorcist is a bit more? Do you think it hits harder because of the religious trauma attached to it? Like we all have some form of religious trauma, whether you grow up Latino, Catholic, seeing all these crazy rituals happen in church and all that, and you introduce the story of The Exorcist, where essentially the moral of the story is don't fuck around or you're gonna find out, right?
Right.
So, and with the Evil Dead, it's kind of the same, but they don't introduce any religious trauma to it. So, do you think that? I guess what I'm asking is, what is the what do you think the inspiration is behind making Evil Dead be not so much about the religious aspect of it, but it's still being able to hit with us?
I just feel like we just like creepy ass shit, and we feel like the most creepy stuff that we can get to is possession.
Right.
Like,
but
I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying, but like with like the demonic possession part, like what? Why do you think it separates itself so well from all those other movies like The Exorcist and all those others where they have to have the element of good versus evil in that religious sense, and in this one it's more just like surviving versus the evil?
Because I feel like I don't know about you, but I'm no longer religious in that aspect,
Yeah.
right? I feel like without religion, in a sense, it's all about survival, and like in the war of spirituality, it's all about survival.
Sure.
So if you're a good Catholic or a good Christian, good, if you're in Judaism, Islam, whatever your religion is, and if you're good in it, right, your attraction is that you feel like God is gonna save you because you believe in God. If you don't, like, I'm not gonna say I'm full out atheist, but I'm not also,
Like
whatever.
you're agnostic. We'll say you're agnostic.
Right, and there might be something there might not be, whatever.
Yeah.
But now for somebody like me, it's more of a survival, because I'm not gonna have the big man fucking trying to come in and shine down his light. So these movies really hit hard for me, is because it's like more survival for me. So like if I was in a battle like these guys were evil, I'm just gonna try to survive. Like, I'm not gonna cling on to my Bible and start saying, our fathers and the Hail Marys and be like, God's gonna save me. I'm gonna be out there fighting for my life, my soul, whatever it is.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I was like. Yeah, no, I agree. That's cool. Yeah. What about you, Tony?
I don't know.
I didn't mean for this question to be uncomfortable in any way. I just
no.
Yeah.
I know it's not an uncomfortable question. I think I'm trying to grasp what the question is.
Okay.
I
I guess
guess.
if I could retell the question is that I'm sorry, I'm trying to get separate my high brain from my fucking real brain, and I'm losing it. I guess what I'm trying to say is, do you think the Evil Dead benefits from the separation of the religious aspect of good versus evil, as opposed, do you think it does a good job of that? And do you like that better than, say, a movie like The Exorcist, where you need that?
Yeah,
and in Evil Dead you don't, right?
I think it works better because I think Evil Dead has Looney Tunes chaotic energy, and to me that's it's more fun, but it also it's more relatable. If you're in that situation, it's gonna be so fucked up, but maybe kind of funny, and you don't know what you're dealing with something otherworldly. With The Exorcist, it's kind of preying on you being afraid of religion, right?
Yes.
It's like if you're God-fearing, you're afraid of this movie.
Yeah, there's more of a deep-seated fear.
It's a deep-seated fear of it's like going back to your childhood of be good in school, go to Sunday school, whatever that is. And that's where the fear of The Exorcist comes from, and a little bit in The Conjuring too. The Conjuring deals with a lot of that. If you're really scared of The Conjuring, a lot of that's probably coming from you as a kid being told these things are real. With Evil Dead, it's totally different because Evil Dead establishes these rules that this is all make-believe. A guy's getting eye gouged like he's in the Three Stooges. This is completely different than what The Exorcist is. And I think that's why Evil Dead's always benefited and lasted all these years. That's why they can't You can't go too far with The Exorcist. That's why they've never made a successible sequel. I think, and not everybody's living in that 1970s God-fearing era. Like,
and I think the fun thing about the Evil Dead is historically, a lot of the stuff that they talk about in the Evil Dead is like there's an actual historical timeline to it, right? Like ancient civilizations believed in demons, and everyone's had in one way or another that dark sect or that dark off-kilter group that believes in conjuring up these spirits. Some people call them demons, some people call them elementals, some people call them ghosts. But I think it goes back to our own history of humankind where we've always searched for the unknown, right? Before the time of Christ. Like, are people always looking for those demonic things? And Evil Dead touches up on that. They touch up on that. I think that's why the demons in those movies are so unbothered by the religious artifacts, because they predate all of that. And dude, this is just such a fun franchise, such a fun movie. I could talk about this shit all day, man. I love it.
No, it is. Because there's, like you said, there's not a lot of possession horror movies that do separate from the church. Right. I just saw The Pope's Exorcist last week. How
was that?
Russell Crowe was like the best part of it, to be honest.
Russell Crowe is using the same accent that he used for Zeus in The Pope's Exorcist, and I can't fucking not hear that.
And he's riding around Italy with on a freaking scooter, smoking and drinking and like just exercising demons.
He's had a really interesting career because he kind of like was this big. He was like the Oscar caliber guy, Gladiator, and he does like these really like, I don't know, like the most random movies now. Like I remember people thought it was crazy that he even did The Nice Guys, doing this big kind of studio comedy. Now he just does like fucking anything. He did that movie where he had road rage. Did you guys see that movie? He's insane in that movie. Like he's just a crazy person. I
think that's the great thing about your career peaking early, right?
You can kind of just do whatever the fuck you want.
You ride the wave, like
you got your money already. You could lay back.
You got your acclaim already. Now it's time to make the money, right? Yeah. Now you're making that Marvel money. Now you're making that, now you can.
Right.
Nick Cage learned that quickly. He got his acclaim and just said, you know what? I'm just gonna make like 20 movies a year.
Yeah.
No, but like there was this good but other possession movies always have like the Catholic Church. I think there was one that we use Judaism in it.
The Possession.
The Possession.
Yeah.
So they're always bringing in some sort of like church aspect, some sort of religion into it. With the Evil Dead, like you said, it's just pure evil. It's just a regular human reading an evil ass book and then dealing with the consequences of reading what was on that page. I mean, I don't think they've ever brought in like a priest or somebody to do anything. It's always been human versus evil, man versus evil.
And even like the people that are like priest, or if they're some kind of professor or somebody that's really they know everything about the subject, they get fucked. They get fucked before the movie even starts.
Yeah.
Like you just find out that like, oh, they got fucked up. They're dead. And now it's like you're this normal person, and it's up to you to just survive this some way, somehow.
Right.
I think that makes it even scarier.
I always enjoy the shit talking from the demons and the Deadites in Evil Dead, and I think they really nail it more in Evil Dead than they did in Exorcist. In Exorcist, yeah, sure, she says some like fucked up shit, like mother sucks cocks in hell, shit like that.
Yeah.
But in Evil Dead,
fuck me, Jesus.
Yeah. Like in the Evil Dead, they get like really personal. Like, you remember that one time you're down the street? I wish you were fucking dead. Like, like, I wish you got fucking run over by a car. Like they go deep. Like they really
and they have such iconic photography, like 2013, right? What's that image that's always, when you think about 2013, the image is the girl in the cellar with her fingers on the floor, right? And this one, we have the peephole. Like, I think that peephole, or even the bathtub.
Dude. The bathtub scene, yeah.
The bathtub scene when she rises up.
Victoria brought that up about how her favorite shots in that movie were looking out of the hole. Like, if anyone's ever lived in an apartment building where they had those, that's a different kind of fear.
Those things are creepy.
I remember looking out of it. We lived in an apartment building when I was a little kid for a little while, And I remember looking out of it sometimes because I would see somebody walk by and I wanted to look. And I always had this weird fear that someone was going to just, just like come in front of the people. And every time they'd look out there and she wasn't in frame, I would be like, what the fuck is she doing, man? Like, where is she going to pop out? And that was a great use of that.
Yeah.
The fisheye view of the people, and then you don't even know what's going on, right? Like you don't see, like you see certain aspects of some of the kills, and then like when they finally go into the hallway and you see all that fucking destruction and all that aftermath, you're like, God damn.
I want to say one thing that really got me hyped. They actually got a clap out of the cloud when all the Deadites are screaming "Dead by Dawn," which they hadn't said since the second movie. And I thought that was just perfect. And this movie is very old school, where it, like you said, Leo, it relies on practical effects. There might be CGI. I didn't notice any. Maybe the rising up with the title screen. That's about it. But it's really old school. Everything's in camera. Like they do really cool close-up shots and bloody camera lenses and the bone crunching. Everything looks like a real practical effect, which I think that's what horror should be. It should be anything that you could do in camera to scare an audience. So anything out the people was terrifying, especially when she throws, like you see her walking to chase the kid and you just see the kid just get thrown against a wall. Like things like the kids get fucked up in this movie, which
I love. I love fucking kids getting fucked up.
Me too. It was like, so today when I went into work, I told my manager, because he's a big horror guy, the first thing I told him was like, you got to see The Evil Dead because they fucking kill kids in it. And he's like, sweet.
Which it's crazy how we could still be shocked by that. I remember when it came out, people were like, oh, they'll never show Georgie getting killed. And I mean, even that movie shows him getting his fucking arm torn off. Yeah, but I feel like you put kids in danger, it makes the audience even more scared because it's like all bets are off. Because if they could fuck up kids, they'll fuck up anything.
Because kids are supposedly untouchable. I say fucking touch them. Not in that way. Right? Not in that way. Not in that way. Touch them in horror movies. Like, kill them off. Kill them off early. Like in Halloween. When Michael Myers runs into that baby right in the crib, I was hoping you'd stab the little baby.
Well, he kills a kid in the new ones. He kills the kid that just wants to dance. The kid that's going hunting with his dad, and he's like, oh, I just want to dance. I want to take a dance class. And Michael just fucking twists his neck or whatever.
Fucking flash dance over here. I just want to dance.
I didn't even get that far in that movie, man.
Which one? I'm talking about 2018. Did you see 2018? It's when it's the first of the new ones, when Michael escapes the bus.
I watched it, but I just don't think I was into them anymore.
Yeah, you didn't like Ends. I remember you saying that you didn't like Kills or Ends.
I didn't like Kills. I didn't like Ends. I really liked the first Rob Zombie one.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you've been a big champion of that since it came out. I remember talking to you about that.
But then the second one's a fever dream. Yeah.
Gabe loves both those movies. Gabe's a huge fan.
I do.
The first one's dope. Yeah, it's dope.
But I think this was just a great entry, and just the amount of times I went holy shit throughout the whole movie was like I can't even count how many. Just every moment just felt really metal, balls to the wall, crazy. And I like that lately we're getting crazy movies, like crazy horror movies. Like not every, like I feel like for a period we went through phases where in like 2009 through 2012 it was like everything's like a religious horror movie and it's like found footage and everybody's scared of religion and there's like a priest like Deliver Us from Evil or Paranormal Activity, The Conjuring, and then we went through like the A24 era where like
we're still in the A24 era, don't you think?
Kind of. Well, they got a new one coming out too.
Talk to Me looks fucking
Talk to Me looks scary. It looks super scary. But I feel like for a while they had a grasp on everybody with like Hereditary and The Witch. Like there was a moment where like everything they were doing, everybody was talking about it. And I think right now we're in this moment where it's like really fun horror movies that are like 80 or 90 minutes long and they're just self-contained and they're done. Like Megan or Barbarian, Malignant, which was like just goes fucking crazy out of nowhere. And I like that. I like that we're seeing Pearl. Yeah, I like that we're seeing that.
I think they had to, because I'm going to go even beyond before that. I think horror kind of during the 90s, it was very slashery, right?
Yeah.
And they depended a lot on what the 80s had built, right? Like, and because in the 90s, I think in the first half, you had a lot of really bad horror movies that they try to be supernatural, but they just weren't good, right? Like anything after like the later Elm Street films and the later Jason films, you know, the later Halloween films, like the Part 6, which is just a fucking convoluted mess of shit. Like they made a lot of shit just when it came out. I just don't think it was that good, man. And I think when Blair Witch came out, I think that kind of changed the game, but everyone else wasn't able to capitalize on how to change the game.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what movie really set things off in this current era. I know A24 has a lot to do with it, but I think you guys probably know better than me how after 2015 a lot of these movies have been, like you said, like a lot of them were like religious before then. Like now they're straying towards, you know, we got away from the torture porn, thankfully, but now we're getting a lot of heavy character development, but also a lot of unsettling shit, right?
Yeah.
And that's thanks to A24. That's thanks to Jordan Peele, right? Like that's thanks to a lot of these guys that are being, or a lot of these folks that are being inspired by what people truly fear, and building on that. I think that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, it's true. I totally forgot about the torture porn era, which was like,
Yeah, torture porn era. Like
It's
that's
fucking-
really when I fell off of horror, because I don't like torture porn. It's like, you guys ever seen Martyrs?
I
Yes, I
don't
have.
even think I finished it. I was pretty. It just was too much of a downer for me. I know a lot of
It's
people love
just
that
gross, man.
Yeah.
Like High Tension was fun, but like, you know, that what was the other one? The Hostel. Like those are just
movie.
like
Hostel.
I don't want to watch that shit. I want to watch shit that's gonna be fun, unsettling, and it's gonna make me think. Right? And I think you guys are the same way. Like
Pretty
I
much.
watch your reviews all the time, and like you guys really get excited over character development and actual story, as
Yeah.
opposed to fodder, right?
Depends.
Yeah.
Because like Transformers, I don't need a story. I just want robots
Sure.
beating each other up. But like for some of my horror, like if like I could watch a horror movie and be like, all right, that's cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But when you give me really good character development and horror, I'm like, oh fuck yeah, like yes,
Yeah.
give me all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I'm really, and trust me, I love fodder too. Like I fucking love the Fast and the Furious films because they're so insane, right? And like, you know, that's just, some of us have our pleasure of just watching just crazy shit happen nonstop.
That's true. Oh, also, did you guys? I wanted to bring this up to Gabe. Do you guys know the real reason The Rock is not in Fast 10 and 11?
Yes.
Did you? Oh, what did you hear?
I want to see if Gabe knows, and then we'll talk about it.
No, I don't. I don't know. I just thought The Rock and Vin Diesel didn't like each other anymore.
It is in his contract that he cannot lose a fight,
Yes.
and that pissed off Dom. That pissed off Vin Diesel.
Well, you know what Vin Diesel pitched, right? Vin
What was
Diesel wanted to pitch that Hobbs in the 10th and 11th movie would like snap and become a mad terrorist. And they have to take him down. And
There's no way The Rock's going to do that with his brand.
that's from what we know. That's what he pitched The Rock to come back to.
You know what really sucks is that I really like The Rock. The Rock is like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 90s, right? Like Van Damme, like Stallone.
Right.
And this is what happens when you give the top action star in the business too much fucking power with his brand. Like he would still be successful regardless if he got beat up in a movie or not, right? But for him to not be able to lose a fight in a movie and that be in a contract, like fuck, that is so unhinged to me. It makes me not like him.
Stallone never had that. Stallone lost against fucking Kurt Russell in Tango and Cash.
He gets beat up in all his movies, and he had an ego. He had like a massive ego problem in the 80s. The guy thought he was like untouchable.
Arnold did as well. He got beat up a lot. Like they all got beat up. I don't know what The Rock's problem is. Like listen, when The Rock came out from wrestling and started acting, we've talked about this before. I absolutely loved him. I love the shit that he did, like the Rundown, the Get Shorty sequel. like all this other stuff that he did, he was like, pretty decent. But now he's like, I don't know, like not even Will Smith at his high powers had all this like weird written shit. Like Will Smith still did weird movies. Like The Rock has just like his formula for every single movie. Doesn't matter if it's DC and Black Adam or if he's running his $7 production, whatever.
Leo, did you see Black Adam?
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah.
Bad movie. I felt very I don't know, like numb throughout that. Like I feel like that and Morbius was just like, oh no, like, are we just making these?
Morbius? Yeah,
you got to watch Morbius. It's awesome.
No, you don't. It's pretty fucking terrible.
Morbius is great.
I think Gabe really wanted to go see it, and he's like, we should review it for the show, do out the theater reaction. I did not want to watch this movie. We all went to go see it, and I think I left halfway in just to take a 5-minute break. And I came back, and I think there was still about an hour and a half of movie left. And I can't even tell you what the point of Morbius was. I don't even remember what the ending is. All I remember is Michael Keaton showing up, telling Morbius they need to talk about Spider-Man. Don't remember anything else that happens in that thing. Just Jared Leto walking around with no shirt on.
Dude, so
loved.
So I watched Black Adam twice. I watched it at home. And I was really bored, and I was playing on my phone, and I kept looking up, and I was like, oh, I don't know what's happening anymore, but he's fighting things, and like, okay, whatever. And then before this, your grandma, my mom, wanted me to take her to the movies to go see it, and I avoided that. And then for Christmas, when I went to visit her, I had my HBO Max, so I'm like, oh, I'll just put it on TV for you. And I was like, I'm going to put my phone away. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to pay attention. And I think I was still as lost as when I was looking at my phone than I was like watching the movie. I'm like, oh, then this is just a piece of shit. Like this movie is Black Adam is just a piece of shit. Like there's nothing happening here.
No. And even with that, like he didn't want to be in Shazam. Because of that, I don't play the villains thing, which is really weird.
I didn't even know about that. I didn't know he didn't want to be in Shazam.
No, he refused. He flat out refused to be in Shazam.
That's why stupid.
Because he doesn't want to be second billing to Zachary Levi.
Which
doesn't want to be
Zachary Levi, not a guy I really like, but he actually pointed that he did like a Instagram live where he pretty much threw The Rock under the bus. And he's like, yeah, like all the issues that we had with the second movie, The Rock didn't want to do it. He didn't want to play the villain. So
like, why did DC even give him that like, I don't know, whatever.
DC's struggling. DC's trying to,
make a whole bunch of problems over there. At least they didn't drop the ball with Evil Dead Rise. So
they didn't, which, I'm shocked. I'm actually kind of shocked that they still released it because they were like canceling everything. Coming out of the
didn't they release Max Barbarian too? Wasn't Barbarian under
It's Disney. She's a Disney princess.
Really?
Yeah, that's Disney bought Fox, and Fox had made a ton of horror movies prior to, I think, while the buyout was happening. They had done it's like they did
Prey.
They did Prey, which went to Hulu. They did The Empty Man. Which was just fucking weird and crazy. And then Barbarian they did. I think they only released Barbarian in theaters because the test audience was like really freaked out by it. And they felt like they had a hit. Which that's another guy I'm really excited about because I think he makes I thought Barbarian was cool and just fucking weird.
And The Empty Man was pretty cool because of like the battles are like.
The Empty Man's a weird. Leo, did you see The Empty Man?
Not yet.
You would like it because it's all about like the occult and like this religion and this urban legend. It's almost like
who's in that?
What's that actor's name, Gabe? Let me pull that up real quick.
I don't know.
It's a strange film.
It's a strange film. Really strange.
They didn't want to release it. And they like dumped it in theaters during COVID where like nobody went to go see it. Like they did it like in the heart of COVID when theaters were closed. And then it kind of took on a life of its own on streaming.
Which they tried to do with Freaky, the one with Vince Vaughn where he switches bodies.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty decent movie. They just released it under COVID and nobody went to go see it. And then that one actually didn't do that well on VOD or streaming.
It didn't. James Badge Dale.
Who?
I have to see him. I think I know. I might be confused with this movie with something else, but okay.
But
I'll check it out.
I think it would be up your alley. It's very weird. It's very
Cool.
out there. But I guess we should get back to Evil Dead Rise. We went off all over the place with the Rock and everything too. Maybe that's what'll save the Rock's career. He should do an Evil Dead.
Dude, they should recast the Rock as Bruce as an Ash. That'd be pretty sick.
Hey, he doesn't lose, right?
Right. You know.
Technically, yeah. Oh, I guess Ash loses in every movie. Like in all the movies, he kind of loses. In Evil Dead 2, he goes back in time. In Evil Dead 3, he in the original ending, he's like sent to like Armageddon or whatever. And like the DVD
the end
ending.
of time. Yeah.
Nah, just bring back Batista. He's the better one.
Batista is the better. Oh, by the way, Julian, I didn't even acknowledge what you said, man. You have to go to this website. Marvel put it out. It's called GoFobo, and it's free tickets. If it's in your area, you just have to you claim the tickets. It's free. You just
Julian, the only one that they have is all the way in Chicago. So it's an hour away from me, which means probably like 3 hours away from you on a Friday night.
Yeah. So just, I guess, see it opening night, a week later. I don't know. Anything else you guys want to add about Evil Dead that you loved about it?
Just the whole, like, the rundown building, the rain. Like, I know that's like standard for horror, but just the way that they shot it just felt so fresh. It just felt like, I don't know, like a movie that you were really rooting for in the end, you know, to like, actually, I was actually rooting for the freaking demons to win. I don't know why. I wanted him to win, which, I mean, essentially they did, right? They didn't.
They always win. They always win. Which is really fucked up in all these movies. Even Drag Me to Hell. Drag Me to Hell is essentially just Evil Dead. Like, it's, you could change the title and everybody would probably say it's an Evil Dead movie. But it's really fucked up that in all the Evil Dead movies in Drag Me to Hell, like, no matter what you do, you will never win. You will, like, in Drag Me to Hell, she goes to religion. They can't help her. She tries to do all these crazy things to reverse the curse. That can't help her. And in the end, she gets fucked up anyway. She gets dragged to hell. And it's the same kind of vibe in this movie with the book ending, starting at the cabin, ending at what leads up to the cabin. Even like the Beth and the niece, you still feel like something can happen to them at any moment. I don't believe for a second that they make it through. Like, who knows? Maybe that baby becomes a Deadite. That'd be pretty fucked up.
It would be. I like how we didn't even touch the whole political landscape on this movie.
There's a lot with it, and I think that I think it's great that a lot of us watch this movie, and me personally, like, I watched the movie and I didn't think of any political things or anything that made me feel like weird about it or different, you know?
Yeah.
Even the actor that played Daniel is transgender.
Right. I had no idea until Gabe said it. Like, I wouldn't have even known.
I saw the movie and I'm like, huh? And then there was a reference in the movie. I can't even tell you when, but I know, like, reading up on it, they're like, oh yeah, it got like a little reference in it. I was like, I didn't even pick it up. The entire movie, I was just like, it could be. I was like, I don't know. I was like, yeah, but then I didn't even fucking care. Like, I was like, right, cool.
Yeah. Well, the actor himself is,
right.
Transgender. But like, it was just really cool. It was I don't want to say normalized, but like, it was cool to just sit there, see this all happening, and like, I mean, you don't think about that stuff. It's just, but it's cool that it's in movies. I feel personally, like, I like to see that kind of representation,
like, normalized,
right?
Like really good representation. Like,
yeah,
I think when people get mad about that stuff, which I don't know why you would in the first place, they always point to, like, I don't know, like Ryan Murphy shows where it's like, or it's just like, look at this, the gay people, they're fucking all the time in those shows, and they get mad about it. So when they see it in other movies, it's like easy for them to pick on it. I feel like this movie, I didn't even realize that Danny was transgender too. You said it, Gabe. Yeah. And even the abortion stuff that they touch on and motherhood, like, that's all there. And like, it's all under the surface, which is what good horror does. Right. Like, it scares you, but if you really dig deep, you'll see all these things. Hellraiser, the newest one, which I thought was okay. I don't think it's the best Hellraiser, but I thought they did a great job of representation too. Like with the gay brother and even Pinhead being kind of androgynous as well.
Right.
So I think that's really cool that they're able to fit that stuff in.
The mother aspect on this was amazing. Like,
yeah,
the way they touched on it, the way her character development was from like, oh shit, I'm pregnant. And then at the end, like, just being like this amazing mother and saving her niece's life.
Well, even like the idea of motherhood is draining, and kids just suck the life out of you, which is how that the monster is formed.
Titty sucking parasites.
yeah, it's how the monster becomes. Like, they're all just like biting into her and stuff, and then she becomes that fucking giant thing. This movie, like if you really like think about it, it deals with a lot of that, with just being super, super subtle with it. Because 99% of it is just like scaring the shit out of you and throwing everything it can to frighten you. I think it's cool that they're able to put in some representation too, really subtly.
Me too. And I think that that's important moving forward. And I think that a lot of the people that accuse all of media of pushing this down your throats, I think they're wrong, because I don't think anyone's going to watch this and be like, oh, they're putting them everywhere, and I've had enough. And you're just like, no, you can just watch this, enjoy it, and you would be none the wiser, right?
Yeah,
because they're just all people, and like, whatever. I just think I think that's cool. It's important. I'm glad that it's being represented, and I want to go. At the end of the day, we're talking about Evil Dead being cool and fucking awesome horror movie. We're not talking about the political parts of it that make other people fucking
because you don't really pay attention to it until like you go down and sit down and like really think about it, do a deep dive. As you're watching 90 minutes in the theater, you're just like, this is a really fucking cool movie.
You know what? I want to touch on that though, because Gabe, I always told you on the old show, like, let's try to avoid it so we don't offend people on either side. I really don't care anymore, because like on this version, we're just talking about what we want to talk about. This episode is a great example, because we go off and we had that whole conversation about The Rock and religion, all these things. I think bringing any of that stuff to movies, when people say like, oh, why are they shoving this down my throat? No, motherfucker, nobody's shoving it down your throat. You just grew up. When you were a kid, you don't like notice these things because you're too busy looking at the pretty images. It's always been there. Movies have always been having this in the background. Night of the Living Dead has a lot of things going on under the surface. The Exorcist, all these movies have something. Halloween even is about repression and sexual repression. Like, all that stuff is there. It's not like it never went away. Like, you saying that you're mad about these things just shows like how much of a piece of shit you are, that it really takes away your enjoyment. But it's true. Like, even when they bring it up in superhero films and like any kind of movies, they'll bring up the issues that
Batman is a fascist.
Batman's that was funny.
That was funny. That was funny.
Like, even like it's the same cats that were picking on Brie Larson, and they probably can't even tell you why they hate Brie Larson.
What do you think? I mean, because she's a woman. That's why.
She's a woman, and
she's a woman.
She essentially said that, well, I think women and people of color deserve more opportunities.
Yeah.
Which nobody should. I mean, it's a fact. I think they should.
And that's like, aside from us always getting to talk about cool stuff on the show, I think that's why I always enjoy being on here with you guys, is because you use your platform correctly. Right? Like, you guys talk about movies, and I've seen your conversations that you've had outside, on Twitter and stuff like that. And and I think that it's important to have a kind of platform like this and use it to push what really matters, and that's the enjoyment of this particular subject, right? Like, it's movies. And when somebody comes in and start shitting on why are they doing this, why are they doing that, why are they representing this, why are they grooming this or doing that, you guys are really good at just shutting it down and being like, we're talking about movies. You're bringing up shit that's foul, and I'm going to shut it down because it doesn't belong here, just like it doesn't belong anywhere. And you don't do it in a way where like you're like allowing those people to even have a word, because I don't think they should have a word. I think you guys are really good at that. Excuse me, especially you, Tony, because I've seen you have all these crazy interactions with a lot of crazy people, you know.
Yeah.
I've seen that, and I do have to say, like, man, like I am very proud of you, of the man you've become, you know, because Gabe, I've known him since he was a baby.
Well, no, I know.
You know, and you're great too. But I'm saying, like, I've known him since he was a baby, right? And like, me, as I'm part of those old heads, right? As I'm kind of growing up, I have to learn from the younger crowd as to what not to do, right? Still be myself, but just like see all this stuff happening and be like, okay, I gotta side with the good guys here. And the good guys are the people that promote, you know, inclusiveness. And I think that's what you guys do. And you guys are very good at including everyone. So I just want to give you guys that rub. So
I feel like thank you. I feel like I have to in a sense. I think I've talked. You know, I'm gonna be 40 this year, and I know Tony sometimes gives me a lot of shit. Whatever, that I'm all pro Latino and all this. You know, pro brown, obviously, right? LWO here, right? But there's a reason.
So I only give him shit because his cousin. And it's like tongue in cheek because his cousin Adrian's brother said he texted me one day and he like brought up something random and he's just like, by the way, all Gabe does is shove Latino pride down our throats.
Good.
Like, this reminds me of the Chappelle. This reminds me of the Chappelle sketch.
But see,
good.
The reason why I'm like that, right, is growing up first generation Hispanic, right? My parents were born in Mexico. I was born here. And growing up in the South Side of Chicago in the time where, like, my school was predominantly, like, was mostly white. My neighborhood was white. Queen of the Universe, 71st and Hamlin. Okay. It's a Catholic school. So I grew up, you know, Catholic school, Catholic elementary school, Catholic high school. Hence, probably why I think The Exorcist is so fucked up and all those other shit. But anyways, I grew up hiding my ethnicity. I grew up hiding who I was. Like, I didn't want to bring Mexican food because I got bullied. I didn't want to speak Spanish because I got bullied. I didn't listen to Spanish music because I got bullied. All these white kids would bully me. So I grew up like that, right? And then I moved out to the suburbs. So, like, I don't know, a mile away from Naperville. You know, I lived in Aurora, but it was like the nice part of Aurora where it was like not really Aurora, if you get my drift.
Yeah.
And so, and again, you know, white neighbors, and there's not, and I'm not, you know, I'm gonna say I don't like white people, but it was white neighbors. So again, you have to hide certain aspects of yourself.
You gotta whitewash yourself. Yes.
I gotta whitewash myself, right? I'm listening to like rock music and I'm listening, you know, watching all this other stuff, and which is great, you know, that's part of me. As I've transitioned into, like, since I've known Tony and stuff, and I've seen how the world is turning, I'm so proud of the younger kids. Like you just said, the younger kids behind me that are now seeing themselves on screen, right? So, like, I'm listening now to, like, the new Mexican music that's out there. You know, I'm gonna throw them out, like Peso Pluma, like, dude's doing good stuff. You got Becky G, she's doing good stuff. I didn't even know she was in Power Rangers, like, until recently. I was like, oh, she's the Yellow Ranger in Power Rangers. All right, cool. But that's why I'm using the little fans that we have on the platform to, yes, be pro-Latino at this point, be pro-Mexican, be pro-Puerto Rican. I don't even care about, like, the inter-Hispanic hate that sometimes there is. It's stupid, but it's pro us, because at the end of the day, it's awesome to see younger kids, older people of my color on screen, on TV, on whatever. So I'm just proud of that, and that's why I want to talk about it. That's why when people are like, oh, I hope Blue Beetle suffers, I'm like, hell no, I'm going to go see that movie like 3 or 4 times. Like, I'm not even using my AMC Stubs account. Like, I'm going to actually pay, you know, full ticket for those.
You know what? You just sold me on going to pay to see that movie. I'm not even kidding. Because before I was just like, this kind of looks shitty. But if I have to see that movie in order to help push that platform, then I think that's what I will choose to do. Because you're right. And it all goes back to representation using this platform, and I think that's great that you do that. And you know, I try to do the same thing on my show, but also, like, remind people, like, hey, we can still have fun. I can still be an idiot. We can still joke around. We can
Right.
still be the exact same person that I am. I don't have to dumb it down, but I am going to clean it up a little bit, right? Like I got to clean it up some.
Right. Like
Because
I saw The Longest Week yesterday, right? It has like Olivia Wilde, Billy Crudup, Jason Bateman, dumbass movie. But I'm watching it and I'm just like, this is another movie. And when people talk about inclusion, it's like movies like that. Like I love Jason Bateman, I love Olivia Wilde, I love them as actors. Like they've done great body of work. But that movie was basically a rich white man in New York that loses his money and then doesn't know what to do. And then at the end of the movie, he gets his money back. And I'm like, how many movies do we have like this? Like it's just an onslaught of movies of exactly like this. So like on my letterbox, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make a fucking my own movie of somebody in Chicago losing their money and they're fucking Mexican or some shit like that. Like as my review, because it's like there's all the Woody Allen movies, the Wes Anderson movies. It's all white people, rich white people from New York. You know, and it's like fuck. Like I don't need another rich white movie from New York.
And I think, you know, we try not to push it too hard on the show because like then we get the comments of people saying really stupid things. But I think we do a great job of, Gabe, you showing what you want in your movies, but also we're always built that way. Yes, it's capitalism and we pay them and all these things, but movies were built on minorities. They were built on like the Jewish community fighting back against Nazis. Like that's every movie in the 40s and 50s. That's what it's about. It's about like them invading the Nazis or making fun of the Nazis and like to be or not to be or Notorious or any of these movies. And even the 70s and 80s, Steven Spielberg is like, he's the Jewish kid who got picked on. And what's the big superhero character that he creates? It's Indiana Jones who punches Nazis. Like that space does not have, it just doesn't have a place. And when we talk about movies, it's the one thing I just don't tolerate. When it's just like, well, why is Ariel black? Or why is this like, just enjoy the movie and shut the fuck up. And that's it.
Right. You don't have to go watch Ariel. Like, trust me. If
that movie looks bad because it just looks poorly done. And I don't want to watch a Disney cartoon being remade, but she looks great in it. And like, she's not even a part of the conversation.
If you want to sexualize Ariel, you still have your movie. You still go back to like 15, 14-year-old Ariel from 1990s and you could sexualize her all you want, you know?
Yeah.
Or you could just, you know, just look, check out another movie.
If anybody ever accuses you guys or anybody else out there of being woke, you remind them that term is bullshit. That term is just downplaying the fact that most of us really decent people have this thing called empathy. And you should have empathy, and everybody should have empathy. And if anybody says that you're too woke, that means that they don't understand what empathy is, and they don't try to put themselves into the position of other people to try to learn from them. So,
but you see, you just described movies, right? Like that movies are an empathy machine. Right. Like I don't understand why else you would want to watch movies.
100%.
This is why I like. I know it sounds funny, right? But why I like John Leguizamo's always been one of my favorites. He's the first brown person I saw. Carlito's Way, Mario Brothers, right? The Pest. I know we talk about that. I know that movie's terrible, but he's, you know, whatever.
The Pest,
he's starring in it, right? He's starring in it. So I'm like, fuck, you know, the reason why like African American movies is why I watched so many of them growing up, like Friday, because they're as close to me as far as skin related is concerned that I could get into. And that's why I watched like a lot of like the Wayans brothers growing up, you know. Friday, The Car Wash,
Boys
like
in the Hood.
Some Boys in the Hood, all these movies was because like, all right, if I'm not gonna get a Mexican, you know, speaking English, you know, a Mexican movie, might as well watch a black movie because they're closer related to me. We're growing up in the same sort of environment in Chicago, like they're more closely related to me, and I could feel that.
Like you can watch The Breakfast Club and be like, oh, this is fun, you know, but I can't identify with it. And then you can watch Boys in the Hood and enjoy that and be like, okay, I do identify with it, but I still like Breakfast Club. Like that's fine.
That's just fine. And that's what I'm saying is it's fine. You could watch these movies and just have fun with all of them. Doesn't matter white, black, Asian, you know, Hindu, whatever it is. It's fine. You could watch all of them and enjoy them. It doesn't have to be about color. It doesn't have to be about religion. It doesn't have to be about anything. It's just enjoying movies for what they are, what they could bring to you, what you could learn from them.
Yeah. No, I agree. Except if you're watching like a Gina Carano movie or something. like those hardcore kids there, like the Daily Wire or Ben Shapiro trying to make movies now. Like, no, those guys they're making movies for all the wrong reasons. But like actual normal people watching normal movies, like we don't think about
right.
this.
Just sit back, crack open a Bud Light, and have fun.
Exactly.
Dude, just put me in a cage with fucking Ben Shapiro for 5 minutes, man. I fucking hate that little dork.
He is, he's very interesting because
Do you like his sister?
She got some big ass titties. Hell yeah.
Well, I guess he likes his sister.
That's
a lot,
what all
too.
the hate is, I guess. I mean,
Like, what's up, cuñado?
yeah, that's like she carries all of her hate in those titties.
Yeah, his villain origin story, the reason why he became like a right
because he wants to fuck his sister and they won't let him.
That plus he was a failed screenwriter, and I guess he got like so mad and like disgruntled about it that he just became this far right.
Even Hitler was an artist, man. Even Hitler was an artist.
Well, according to Ye, I'm not gonna bring up Kanye, but
Kanye's back in our good graces. We could talk about Kanye now. We could listen to his music now.
He liked 21 Jump Street. He liked 21 Jump Street.
I know the turnaround for him.
Yeah.
Is it okay to listen to like old Kanye still, or is it like do you have to feel guilty about listening to like slow jams?
I think I'm going to say something that's a little weird, maybe controversial, and it's that a lot of people say they can. A lot of people, you can do whatever you want. A lot of people say that they can remove the art from the artist, and I think that is extremely disrespectful to the things that people do where they hurt others. You cannot be an ally to people that have suffered from sexual abuse as children and listen to Thriller. And I don't give a fuck what anybody says to normalize or to say, well, they never fucking got him for fucking touching kids. I don't care. And if that upsets you where you're like, well, I don't know. Like, people make like a million excuses for Michael Jackson. I will tell you right here and right now, for you to say I can separate the two, that is your choice. But I don't think that's what good people do. That's like saying that, like, Hitler fucking killed a lot of people, but I don't know.
He wrote his book was really fucking good.
He invented the microphone, like he didn't invent the microphone, but like you're fucking normalizing Hitler. So that's just me. But also, you can do whatever you want. This is America.
Do you, boo boo?
Yeah, right. Do you? If you can go to sleep at night, okay, being able to be like, Smooth Criminal is the best song I've ever heard, and he touched kids, and that's all right. I mean, that's how you're going to bed.
Oh man, we went off the rails.
We did, but
we always do. We always go off the rails.
Yeah, the past few weeks we've been going off the rails.
Since the show started, it's been off the rails.
Yeah, the past few weeks we've made enemies just by like
we do that. Yeah,
telling people what we believe.
No, we do that a lot too in our show, and I stopped apologizing for it, and we just started saying, "This is our fucking show. We're gonna talk whatever the fuck we want about it. So like you guys, like this last week we talked about cult leaders, and then it moved over to Andrew Tate, and we rode that horse, and it was great.
You guys talk about the Waco stuff then?
Yeah, all that.
Dude, I can't get enough of Waco, bro. I was like fucking 10 years old when that shit was going down. 9 years old.
Me too.
And I remember coming home from school and my mom was watching like the Spanish, right? Like,
yes,
what it was called.
I was talking about that. How Latino news is so like extra and sensationalizes everything, and like you get home and you're like, whoa, like what's happening?
Primer Impacto.
Primer Impacto, yeah.
I would come home and the first thing Primer Impacto had the entire time was all about Waco and Andrew Koresh, right? And then you had Christina would come on and she'd be talking about Waco. And you're just sitting there just watching about Waco. I'm like 9 years old, learning about what's been going on in Waco. And so, like, when they're doing these documentaries now on Hulu, I think there's one on Hulu that just came out, and there was one a couple years ago. I forget, it was on Netflix.
It was the Paramount one. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, Waco just for some reason just like gets me going.
I remember when the Dahmer happened, and I was a little kid too, and I remember I was watching Primer Impacto or one of those shows, and then they made a joke about it where they had a guy that looked like Dahmer, but he was a taquero, like making tacos, and he was like putting a hand in the tortilla, and he's like, "Hey!" And I'm just like, "Fuck!" Like as a kid, you're like, "This is kind of funny." But as an adult, I look back and I'm like, "Oh no." We are fucking wild. Latinos are wild when it comes to news, man.
I think it's the sensationalize of Dahmer's back though. Like people, because of that Netflix show, people are like obsessed with Dahmer, and they think he's like, like, oh, maybe he was kind of hot.
True crime has been a passion of our societies and all societies all across the world since the first person murdered somebody. Look at the Bible. The best story in the Bible is Cain and Abel, right? Like that story is like one of like the most, like everyone knows that story. So true crime has been around since the beginning of humans being around each other.
Yeah. That Jack the Ripper, Ted Bundy, like everybody's just like super obsessed.
We have a serial killer going on in Chicago right now.
Is it the Rogers Park killer? Did they catch him?
No, it's what I don't think they have a name for him yet, but they found what, like 6 bodies in Lake Michigan now at this point. They've all been like 20-year-old white males that they've been finding in Lake Michigan. They just found was it an Army guy or a Navy guy? They just found him this past weekend up in Waukegan, in Lake Michigan in Waukegan. He's the furthest one they found.
Oh wow.
But everything else has been downtown Lake Michigan area. They're finding like 5 or 6 now white males in there, like in their 20s, like super young, like in their 20s. I'm like, that's a serial killer who's going out there right now.
I do have to go soon, guys. I'm really sorry.
It's all good. Gabe, anything else you want to add about Evil Dead before we go?
No, it's been a fun episode.
It's been great. I really appreciate you guys having me on. As soon as I saw that you guys were looking for somebody, I jumped on it because I really wanted to hang out and talk, and I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Maybe we could go to the movies one of these weeks.
I would love to. Last week I was sick, but I really want to see the Pope's Exorcist too. I really wanted to see that.
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I feel left out now. I guess I'll go see a movie by myself.
I'm gonna start going to the movies with Leo. Me and Leo are gonna do straight out of the theater reviews now.
Yeah, you ever go to Carpentersville, or do you solely go to AMC?
I go to Carpentersville all the time because I got the rewards too.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I love Carpentersville. No one ever goes there, and the seats are great.
Yeah,
and they refill your popcorn too.
They never refill mine.
Oh, dude, you just go and you give it to them, and you refill it for free.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, Leo, thank you for coming on.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you.
This was a ton of fun.
Absolutely.
Anybody else that stuck around and watched, make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Did you see Evil Dead Rise? What was your favorite moment, favorite kill? Anything, let us know. And we will see you guys whenever we decide to record again. So who knows when that'll happen. But later.
Bye.